Hello, friends. I'm back for video 2 of my New Year's challenge. Good to see you again. Today, I wanted to share with you something that's been rattling around on my mind for the past few weeks now. And you know how sometimes you come across something, some information that you've come across in the past, but because you're in a different place in life, it just strikes you differently. You see something new in it. That's what happened to me recently, and it's actually a quote that I'd like to start by sharing with you, and it's from Leo Tolstoy, the author, and he said, "Everyone thinks of changing the world, but no one thinks of changing himself." And this has just struck me from a very different angle because of the place I'm in my life, the times that we're in, and I wanted to talk to you today about role modeling and influence, because I think if you're like me, you have big ambitions. You'd love to make an impact in the world. When you think and you dream, you dream big. You're thinking about the impacts you can have on other communities, on on your business and your organization, maybe even on your country or world scale. And it's great to dream big and to think about what we can do to change the world and create the kind of environment that we want to live in. But I think what this quote has really hit home for me now is that instead of feeling like I have in the past that, well, just thinking about changing myself, that sounds so small. Like when there's all this work to be done out there, why would I want to just focus on myself? It maybe almost sounds like it would be like a selfish thought to do that, and it certainly sounds like playing small. But the way I'm taking it now is actually, if we think about, honestly, our circle of control that we have, there's very little outside of ourselves that we have direct control over, right? Certainly not other people, right? We can try to influence other people, but we have no direct control over others. But we do have direct control over ourselves. And I'm starting to see now, I'd like to just share with you a few of the different data points that I'm pulling together in my brain that is making this idea of how changing yourself can actually be a really powerful way to create a huge impact in the world. One is the research that I've come across on how norms change, and in particular, the importance of role modeling. And you may know this even without hearing the research in your own life, that just simply the proximity of having certain people that you look up to in your sphere, can even be, small sphere like your team at work or your local community, you will have a bigger impact proportionally on the folks that you come into contact with regularly than, say, a leader of maybe the CEO in your organization or the president or prime minister of a country, right? Yes, they're influencing on a different scale, but simply because you're closer in proximity to other individuals in your life, for the people that look up to you, and there are people, believe me, who are watching, who are looking up to you in some capacity as a role model. It could be your children, it could be your team members, it could be folks in another department or in a community organization that you're helping out with, whatever it might be. There are folks looking up to you. And you actually, the research suggests you have a much larger impact than you think on those folks. There's a great TED Talk by Drew Dudley, which I've linked to just below this video, called Everyday Leadership. And he talks about his own experience with those small moments where we come into contact with people that sometimes even ourselves, we don't realize the impact that we're having, and we just go on about our business. But actually, that was something so profound for the individual that we were interacting with. And it's something that they'll remember for the rest of their life, or something to take away from that influences everything for them going forward. And so those are some of the things that I've been thinking about. We also know from the research, emotional contagion, the energy you bring into a room, people sense that influences people. The HeartMath Institute has lots of research on their site about heart rate variability as a measure, and how that is something completely in our sphere of control, largely regulated by our breathing, and there are exercises that they share on their website that you can do to modulate that. But simply being in the presence, within a 3-meter radius of someone, you will pick up on their emotional state, right? If somebody comes in with high levels of cortisol and stress, you will feel that, and it will influence you and spike your own cortisol levels, right? Conversely, if you can come into a situation where you're able to maintain a sense of calm, display a sense of openness, you will influence people in a more positive direction, right? So this is something I've been playing with even in a line at the supermarket. It's going to sound a little silly, but just thinking, I'm waiting in line, I have nothing better to do. Just thinking, who's within a 3-meter radius of me right now? And, what kind of energy am I giving out? And can I get a smile on somebody's face? Can I, take responsibility for this energy that I'm putting out into the world, right? So, all these different data points have been floating through my mind, and that quote, this idea that, instead of thinking about the change we want to see in the world and making an impact on a big scale, what if we focused on changing ourselves? This has really been hitting me in quite a profound way at the moment. And I'd put it to you, in your own life, thinking about, I'm not saying don't set big goals and think about changing the world, but just considering perhaps a little bit more when you're, in your goal setting for this year, thinking about what you want to achieve. What would it look like if you were to focus a little bit of your time and effort on self-mastery? Maybe self-care, prioritizing some of these things that just help you show up as your best self in every arena that you're playing in. And what might the impact of that be? This quote, everyone thinks of changing the world, but no one thinks of changing himself. What if we did think of changing ourselves? That's something I'm taking really seriously going into this year. And I hope to really be more deliberate in thinking about being a role model in the situations I'm in. I mean, doing these videos is one example. What does it look like to show up authentically, to lean into the discomfort of doing something that doesn't come so naturally, putting oneself forward when one's used to being kind of behind the scenes. And just being okay with it, because I want to demonstrate this is what growth looks like. This is what it looks like to, when you haven't learned how to ride a bicycle yet, you fall off sometimes and it's a little bit awkward, and yet you're not going to get any better unless you do it. So giving it a go. So that's just one little gift, if you will, that I'm trying to put out there, is taking role modeling really seriously this year. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. I hope that made sense, because this is all kind of fresh for me. So I'm just processing as I'm going along. And there's another quote that I'll just wrap up with today, and it's kind of related for me. I'm making the connection. This one's from Lao Tzu. And he said, if there is to be peace in the world, there must be peace in the nations. If there is to be peace in the nations, there must be peace in the cities. If there is to be peace in the cities, there must be peace between neighbors. If there is to be peace between neighbors, there must be peace in the home. If there is to be peace in the home, there must be peace in the heart. So again, this kind of filtering down message that actually master this, what's within our circle of control, is where the huge opportunity lies to be able to make our greatest impact in the world, right? So I'll leave you with that thought. Would love to hear what you think, and look forward to seeing you in another video again soon. Bye, guys.